Hello and welcome. You ever stop and think about how your company just magically gives you access to everything you need on your first day? And then, just as magically, it all disappears on your last? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and build that digital fortress, piece by piece. We're going to see exactly how modern companies manage your identity. All right, let's get into it.
So here's the million-dollar question, right? This is what keeps IT departments up at night. It's this constant tug of war between making things super secure and, actually letting people get their work done without wanting to throw their computer out a window. It seems kind of impossible, but there's actually a pretty elegant solution. To make this all feel real, we're going to follow a little case study. Let's meet BrightLeaf Analytics. They're a 200-person data company, so they're dealing with a lot of sensitive client info. Security has to be absolutely top-notch, but they also have to move fast. So let's watch how they build their system from the ground up. Okay, first up, BrightLeaf Security Puzzle. Before we get to the answers, we really got to understand the challenge they're facing. What are all the pieces they need to put together here? The first piece is scale. We're talking 200 people. So not a massive global corporation, but definitely big enough that you can't just manage this stuff with a spreadsheet. Every single one of these employees needs to get into their tools every single day without a hitch. And here's what they need to get into. This is a pretty standard modern tech stack, right? You've got your Microsoft stuff for email and Teams, Slack and Zoom for talking to each other, Salesforce for the customers, and then the big one, Amazon Web Services, AWS, which is where all their really important, sensitive data actually lives. Just imagine trying to remember a separate, strong password for every single one of these. It'd be a complete nightmare.
Which brings us to our first part of the solution. Layer 1, the identity foundation. Look, you can't secure what you don't know you have. So the very first step for BrightLeaf is to create a single, official, undeniable record for every single person in the company. And that record is Microsoft's Azure AD. The analogy here is just perfect. Think of it as a digital birth certificate. It's the one place the company can go to know without a shadow of a doubt who you are. What's your name? What's your role? What department are you in? This is it, the single source of truth. So, picture this. A new person joins BrightLeaf. The process is almost beautiful. HR creates one profile in one system, and that one click sets off this whole chain reaction. Bam, their email address exists. Bam, they have access to Teams and Outlook. And they're officially tagged as, let's say, part of the engineering team. The foundation is set.
Okay, but that foundation really only covers the Microsoft world. What about Slack, Salesforce, all the other stuff? Well, that brings us to Layer 2, the Universal App Key. This is the bridge that connects that core identity to the rest of the app universe.
And for that, we have Okta. So if Azure AD is the birth certificate, Okta is the universal key. Its job is actually pretty simple. It takes that verified identity from Azure AD and uses it to unlock everything else an employee needs. This is where the magic we all know and love, single sign-on, or SSO, really comes to life. And this is what the day-to-day looks like for an employee. It's awesome. You log in once in the morning with your Microsoft account, Okta sees that login, trusts it, and then poof, you're seamlessly logged into Salesforce, Slack, AWS, everything. You never have to type another password all day. It's super secure and incredibly convenient. So that convenience is great while you're there. But what happens when somebody leaves? This is honestly one of the biggest security risks for any company. How do you make sure their access is cut off from everything instantly? This is where the whole system really proves its worth. HR just flips a single switch in that source of truth, Azure AD. Okta is constantly watching, and the second it sees that status change, it automatically cuts the connection to every single app. Salesforce, AWS, Slack, access is gone, instantly. No old accounts lingering around, no security holes. It's just clean. Okay, on to Layer 3, the Cloud Gatekeeper. So far, we've figured out who someone is and what apps they can open. But for BrightLeaf's most precious asset, their data in the cloud, they need one more layer. A layer with much, much finer control. And that's the job of AWS Identity and Access Management, or IAM. Think of it as the ultimate gatekeeper. Okta might get you in the front door of the AWS building, but IAM is the security guard on every single floor, checking your ID at every single room, controlling exactly what you're allowed to touch once you're inside. And this is what we mean by granular. A data analyst at BrightLeaf? Sure, they can get into AWS and read all the data they need for their reports.
but they have zero ability to delete it or change it. Meanwhile, an engineer can spin up new servers all day long that they're completely blocked from even looking at the company's billing info. Everyone gets exactly the permissions they need for their job, and absolutely nothing more. So now let's talk about putting it all together, the layers in sync. We've got our 3 layers, the source of truth, the app bridge, and the cloud gatekeeper. The real power here isn't in any one of these things. It's about how they all work together in perfect harmony. And this table really is the key to the whole thing. Let's call it the rule of 3. First, Azure AD knows who you are. It's your digital birth certificate. Next, Okta manages what apps you use. It's your universal app key. And finally, AWS IAM defines what you can do inside those apps. It's the cloud gatekeeper. Who you are, what you use, and what you can do. It's that simple. And on top of that whole structure, BrightLeaf adds a layer of intelligence. They start making rules. Somebody's trying to log in from a country they've never been to? Blocked. Are they using a personal laptop instead of a company one? Access denied. An engineer tries to change a critical security setting, the security team gets an alert immediately. The system isn't just strong, it's actually smart. And that brings us to our final section, the next security frontier. So that's the digital fortress. It's this layered, intelligent system that perfectly balances the need to do business with the need for security. But where does this kind of technology go from here? You know, this single sentence from the source material just says it all, doesn't it? It's the perfect summary of this whole architecture. One system defines the people, another manages access to the apps, and a third governs what they can do with the cloud resources. Each one has its own distinct job, and together they are incredibly powerful. And at the end of the day, that's the whole goal. A system that isn't a pain, but an enabler. It gives employees a totally seamless experience while giving the company total peace of mind. And if you notice, this whole thing is built on a foundation of trust. Once we verify you are who you say you are, we trust you with the keys to the kingdom. But that leads to one last really fascinating question. This whole system we built is based on verifying someone once and then trusting them. But what if that's the wrong way to think about it? What if you built a system that trusted no one, not even your own employees, and verified every single action, every single time? Well, that, my friends, is the next frontier.